Hello everybody, the Destroyer here, and welcome back to the Lord of the Rings, the Battlefield Mode 2, Rise of the Witch King, patch 2.02, version 5.0.1. Today we have a 2v2 on Buckland to watch and spectate. So, of course, I'll be casting as always. We have BARCAAA as Goblins there in the bottom left, and his ally is CR7 as Angmar. And their opponents today are FieldReapr, which I would assume is DreadReaper, as Isengard there, and as ally today is Turgon. Alright, so we have an Elf, we have an Isengard versus a Angmar and a Goblin. So there's no mirrors in this match, so this should be fairly interesting, hopefully. Let's see, who's this again? BARCAAA is going for a spider pit as a starting thing. That's interesting. Most players do not start with a spider pit, but apparently he does see that the green pasture start is a thing, possibly? Or maybe he's just guessing. If he's guessing, that's a pretty good guess. He's got War Chant, and his ally has War Chant. No, his ally's not that guy. His ally's Angmar. Everybody has War Chant, so he's guessing that his enemy is going stables. I'm guessing. This would be the correct answer to that, though. Spiderlings and Goblin Warriors are fairly effective in conjunction with each other against the cavalry. If you can get enough spiderlings, of course, he will outdo the lancers there. We have a Hall of the King's Men being thrown down from CR7. I'm not used to any of these names except for, well, any of them actually. They're probably players I already know who they are. They probably I know DreadReaper at least. I'm assuming. I'm just gonna say that's DreadReaper, but I'll call him FieldReapr just for the sake of just in case I'm wrong. Of course, I know who Turgon is, though. I guess it's not true. I don't know who any of the bottom team is, though. Anyway, we have our first engagement of the game here. Some Gundabad warriors going up against some Wildmen of Dunland. Wildmen of Dunland will fall, though, it looks like, as the war-chanted Gundabads are in hold ground stance and killing them fairly easily. Of course, no war chant for the Isengard won't help them out. But a nice run-through from some Lancers will. Ooh, nice. We actually went for Wolf Riders as a starting thing. So CR7 going for the Wolf Rider starts. Of course, it's not going to have any chance against Rivendell Lancers, but it's an intriguing idea. It's actually pretty effective against Wildmen, believe it or not. Enough of these can actually do a fair amount of damage. So how's things for the Spiderling front, I wonder? And there's the Spiderlings going up against the Rivendell Lancers. One-on-one, Spiderlings can't actually counter Rivendell Lancers. So, when people say they are a counter, they don't mean just directly one-on-one. They just mean they help. They're obviously, as you see there, they counter them pretty easily. Especially with the War Chant, or the Rally Call, rather. But if you have enough Spiderlings, they will counter them fairly well. Especially with the poison that they have. And, apparently the video's done rendering, just ignore that sound. But yeah, you really need Goblin Warriors to support them with their poison blades as well, because they help catch them, get them caught, and bring them down fairly well. BARCAAA going for his Spiderlings against the Wildmen, which actually seems to do very well indeed, actually. Look at that. Cuts through them very nicely. Of course, the spider poison sacks. I believe that's being changed for next patch, if I heard correctly through the grapevine. So we'll see about that. We have the inn being captured, or the outpost rather, being captured by Turgon there. It's not going to hold it for long though, as Angmar is going to destroy it. Looks like Isengard's actually thrown down a Uruk pit in the center as well. Will he be able to hold it though? It's not looking like it. Angmar is starting to get a fairly sizable force on the field with a lot of Wolf Riders, and he's able to counter these Wildmen easily with the Wolf Riders. He's even going for Dire Wolves, which in themselves can be pretty effective. Of course, they're good against pikemen, but I mean, they can still do the damage. They can chase down these guys easily enough. But in a one-on-one combat scenario, it doesn't look like Dire Wolves will actually beat Wildmen of Dunland. So that is something you can store in your brain for later knowledge. Unfortunately, FieldReapr is going to lose his Uruk pit here to these Goblin Warriors and Spiderlings. And we now have a lot of Lancers out in the field for Turgon there, which should clear up a majority of this. Lancers, while not the best cavalry, they are pretty strong. Attack-wise, they're fairly decent. So definitely gonna need more spiderlings in there, possibly even some half-troll marauders. Yeah, there you go. That'll help fend off their attacks a bit more. Half-troll marauders aren't trampleable, but they are still effective against horses, so making them probably one of the better units to have. Because of course he's not going to throw himself into an army of pikemen. Looks like FieldReapr's thing actually did survive there, although the outpost is still down. So unfortunately he's not going to benefit from that. Nice run through though with the Lancers though on the army of CR7. Rally call being thrown on the Lancers as well. And now they'll fight each other to the death. Lancers in aggressive stance, probably not the best of ideas. So it seems like one of them's an aggressive, one of them's normal, and one of them's defensive. That's weird. Nice use of fell wind though to bring them back into the pikeman line. A lot of those Lancers fell there. And that's costly. Looks like he is actually down to 2 battalions, one of them being almost dead, so he has a Mirror Galadriel, of course, to go heal them up. But some half-troll marauders being brought into his base along with the Goblin warriors. He's not going to have too much to counter this other than these pikemen, or these are not pikemen, archers there. So the half-troll marauders will do some damage. Of course, they will be picked off fairly easily by the archers, though, if they're not taken care of. And of course, they're benefiting from the statue, making them even better than before. And it looks like an attack from FieldReapr on... who's this again? BARCAAA, of course. Is happening, but you should fend them off fairly easily with the spiderlings. Spiderlings, of course, are still strong against swordsmen. That's what they're countered. Is it swordsmen and archers or just swordsmen? I mean, everything's really good against archers, to be honest. It's just a swordsman, though. They can also stealth near trees. Interesting. I probably already knew that, but sometimes I relearn things that I forget. And it's shocking. CR7 has a lot of Angmar troops, though. A couple of dire wolves and whatnot. But it looks like they're going to double him, which could work out in their favor, actually. I guess will remain to be seen. Lancers going in for a big charge in the front, taking down the forces, while some crossbows from FieldReapr pick off some stragglers. They do have the war chant on them as well. They pick up a builder there also, which is also always a nice pickup. Now BARCAAA pushing into the center here. A lot of spiderlings, some pikemen, as well as some warriors. But the army of Turgon is gaining in power. None of these battalions dying, so they can keep going back and healing up, and they keep leveling up as well. They're all level 1 though, it seems. So never mind. Looks like Isengard is the Creebane now, which of course will help the archers of Turgon pick them off a bit easier. So he's focusing down the half-trolls, the most dangerous of the bunch, and the most tanky of the bunch as well. As you see, they drop fairly quickly to a bunch of archers. So that's a good call there, targeting them down. Of course, he will have to flee, though. He does not have the force necessary. Spiderlings will not let them flee. Spiderlings are the fastest unit in the game, I believe. One of them, at least. So they'll be able to chase down anything that runs away. And now it looks like CR7 going for an attack on FieldReapr here. Hopefully for FieldReapr he can keep these standing. If not, he will have no production structures. Unfortunately, he does have to cancel that, or loses that. He loses his builder as well. CR7 gets a nice pickup there. And now FieldReapr is down to a single thing there. He has lost his building in the center, and I think he might be overwhelmed by Angmar at this point, unable to build troops. And now he has snow trolls to contend with as well. Interesting choice going for the snow trolls, but not a bad choice by any means. Snow trolls, of course, will absolutely wreck Wildman Vinland, and that's really all that FieldReapr could even hope to build at this point. So an army of hill trolls will be absolutely disastrous. Also fairly effective against these lancers as the hill trolls, because they cannot be trampled, and they probably win one-on-one in the fight, I'd imagine. I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Lancers aren't very tanky, so I would guess yeah, because trolls are fairly decently tanky. Looks like he actually, FieldReapr does save this one building, although Angmar coming back in for another attack. All he has to do is sneeze on that one and it'll fall down. Of course, Turgon does have to make sure his base is secure from BARCAAA here. We're sending a lot of Goblin Warriors in and such. I think some Spider Riders might be useful here. Spider Riders in one-on-one combat actually beat Lancers, believe it or not, so they're fairly useful as well. At least I'm pretty sure they do. Unbuffed at least. Because Spider Riders have high damage output, as well as that poison on their blades there. Lancers just have weak armor in general, so they're not the greatest cavalry, but they're not bad. Not bad by any means. And this amount of them, easily dealing with all these Goblin Warriors. Look at that. Sweeping them away, just like their saying says most of the time. When you have 4 or 5 battalions of Lancers, you can trample pretty much anything at that point. We have a Cave Troll being brought out here. Looks like we have an Untamed Allegiance being used on the Cave Troll layer there for Angmar to try and take down FieldReapr's base. Cave Trolls, of course, are very good for doing just that, as Angmar doesn't have any actual trolls themselves. All they have is Hill Trolls and Snow Trolls. So Cave Trolls and Mountain Trolls and such, anytime they can utilize that kind of stuff is always good. Fortunately, though, FieldReapr will go down here. Even some Spiderlings showing up to join the party. Party's over, though, looks like, for FieldReapr. Will be taken out as soon as his clan setting is demolished here. There we go. FieldReapr's been defeated. That leaves Turgon alone by himself. Can Turgon fend off 2 armies, I wonder? I'm not so sure. I guess it will remain to be seen. With the armies of Angmar and Goblins closing the noose in on him, I guess we'll see if he has what it takes to stand his ground and win the game. He does have one of the better teams to do so, if anything. Late game Elf, of course, is one of the strongest teams in the game, but he is not up to Mirkwoods, unfortunately for him. So he isn't really benefiting from the old late game Elf scenario there. And we do have a Hwaldar as well, leading the charge of Angmar here. I can't seem to click on him, but I want to see what level he is. There he is, level 2. Of course, at level 5 he gets the summon Hillman ability, which is pretty useful. You can summon the Hillman in an archer line or something. It's pretty nice. Always nice to do. It's kind of like summoning your Wildman or your Gundabad orcs or something in the archer line. Or just anywhere in general. It's just nice to have more guys in the field, as you would expect. So it looks like both players will be going in against the Elves here fairly shortly. Looks like they're both gathering their forces, getting ready to engage. In go the Goblins. And now Turgon will have to defend an attack on both sides. Of course, he does have to face these Cave Trolls as well. Big attack, though. Nice fell wind, though, catching the majority of these Lancers. And they're getting slaughtered by the dozens. These Hill Trolls, or Snow Trolls, rather, and Cave Trolls wrecking them. And there you go. Turgon is quit out of the game. And the Southern team is actually the victor there. So there you go. Well played to that, all the players in that match, and especially the winners, of course. BARCAAA and CR7. If you go by a different name, apologies, because I don't know what it is, but there you go. So I hope you guys enjoy that cast of the Rise of the Witch King, and I'll see you guys next time.